Hello-chan. How are you today? Hello, howdy. Wait. For everybody who doesn't have sneaky previews, so you can see before we go in, a bippity boopity. Skibbity scar. Skibbity scar. Wee wee wee. Wee 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 wee. Yeah. The scar is finished. I finally added it because my small brain took a while. Yee. Yeah, brittle sticks. Powders. How's the music? Is it not, it's not too loud, right? I can try and turn it down more. It's good? Okay. I'm not using pretzel, so I'm using the Vincept music again. Cause it's Quill's music. Vincept is the Quill music. I gotta use do the Quill voice. So Quill's voice is kind of like Calliope's, but it's intended to be a little bit more quiet, and a lot deeper. Unfortunately, I'm not really able to reach the low enough vocal tone that he really sounds like a boy. Yeah, the stuttering kind of comes through anyways. I can't get it deep enough anymore to sound like the original Quill.
Hey.
Hello.
I'm about to hop in. I can't hear you anymore, but I'm okay.
Don't mind the scar. It was just a little accident with my son.
Quill has some stuttering, but not as much as Calliope.
He's teething. What the fuck?
I could probably use... Yeah, Quill has normal nervous stuttering. Calliope has a speech impediment.
Quill's voice is like Calliope's, but without the stutter. And it's supposed to be a little deeper than Calliope's, but sadly I can't quite get it there anymore. I'm very excited for Storm Season 2. I could probably at some point try to use a little bit of clownfish. Kind of like I used when I played Cord as a boy. Because I can't do Cord's voice and also try to lower it. So you know my unfortunate situation. I just have a higher pitched voice, so trying to get too low doesn't really work for me. I do plan on rejoining SwarmRP. Yeah, that was when we got the chipmunk, and I couldn't fix it, which is why I haven't tried since then. But I intend to eventually. I try to have some kind of range. It's just not that impressive. I don't think it's that impressive, mostly because I can't get down low enough that I really sound like a boy. I would really like to be a boy. I would like to have boy voice. But generally speaking, everybody still kind of assumes that Calliope is female. Not Calliope, Quill. I mix up their names because they're two relatively similar characters. It does sound good for the type of character Quill is, but I wish I could have it lower so I could play characters that are a little more masculine than Quill is. Quill is not very masculine. Honestly, more than anything, Quill's voice is less supposed to sound masculine and more just supposed to sound more relaxing and like you want to share tea with him. You may not like it, but this is what peak male performance looks like. I don't have an... There we go. I've disappointed. You may not like it, but this is what peak male performance looks like. Yeah, that's how Quill's supposed to sound. Quill is kind of supposed to sound like a warm hug. Generally speaking. I used to kind of get comments that, like in the chat, that Quill sounded like ASMR-y. Like they would get very relaxed and sleepy from listening to me talk as Quill. And that's kind of the intention. That's kind of where I go with. I used to speak much lower even than I currently do as Quill. But that's because I stopped doing that because I couldn't express with that voice, and that voice would strain me significantly over time. This one is manageable, and I can kind of get a little bit louder, and I can try and put some more excitement into it, or a little more nervousness. It's a lot easier. Yeah. I'm fairly pleased with Quill's voice versus Calliope's. I do think that they sound at least a little different. Not necessarily in how they, like their tone. The tone is about the same, but the vocal tics that they have are very different. I try to think a lot more in Quill's voice. Yeah, a lot of it is manner of speaking. Like Cord has a very abrasive and energetic manner of speaking. She kind of says the first thing she thinks of. That's kind of how it's supposed to come off. Whereas Quill, it's supposed to kind of sound like he's thinking about his words before he says them. And that's why you can get these long pauses before he says something. I also did update this scar as well, so it looks a little nicer. We improved textures. I don't have it on the texture yet, or I don't have a toggle for it yet. But nicer. It does look nicer. It just doesn't look healthier. I also improved his ley lines, so they're a little bit more blue now. They used to be a little too bright. And I can do a hue shift on it. I can kind of show you because I think I still have Unity open. I do. I don't have it set up yet. And sorry, I'm still staying in this voice. It's so I can kind of... Now that I have it, I need some time so that I can keep it. If that makes sense. So if I go to the emission on it, there we go. I can do a hue shift. You can kind of see it. It's a little hard. There we go. There's now a hue shift. And that's so that way I can much more easily I don't have to make a whole new model if Quill's going through a period where it's kind of like the necromancy thing, where his ley lines are changing colors. I can just have it. RGB gaming Quill. I can also technically, through animation, change these lines
and his eye color as well. I believe that this material is animatable. Jared, thank you so much for the subby. Hello. It sounds so different when I do this like this voice. RGB gaming homies. I can take the I'll do this so you guys can see the scar a little bit better. So you can see it reaches down to here. It goes from like basically right here, because that's where I think he bit him. Oh, right there. It at least matches the blood toggle fairly well. If I could read out loud, I would probably like do streams where it's Quill reading a book. But I can't read out loud. Very well, anyways. I do need to write some books for Quill, though. I want to have him do writing stuff. What category would that be? Would that be just chatting, or would that be like soft-spoken ASMR? What do you think that would be? I think that might be just ASMR, but with the soft-spoken tag. Oh, out loud. I'd want to do it like in VR. Like have a book. Rock. Got him. He doesn't even know. He doesn't even know I got him. It's hard to contain my gremlin energy, but I need to. Technically, I don't actually need different books for Quill, because I can just use the one book, because every book that he reads is memorized in the book.
I couldn't automatopoeia before because I was using a different mic setup. But now that I can
Boop.
I want.
How do I keep making this too short?
Oh, also, Ribbon. You went and bought a new headset. Is it a headset with microphone?
Yes.
Like, combination?
Yes.
I have my Corsair because I just got a Technica. I can send you the Corsair
already
if
bought
you
it.
want, so you can return that one. I know, but if you, I don't know what the return policy is.
It's on Amazon, so it'd be more difficult. But I have to return one already because I bought one at Target. I did buy one at Target, but then I bought a new one because the Target one was bad. Like, real bad.
Tim hasn't fixed the stupid Isbone on this.
The gremlin can never be contained. Only suppressed for a time. Someone needs to teach Quill how to fight with a stick. He has a stick. You need to teach him how to fight with a stick. It's a walking stick. I need to add dynamic bone to it, though. His bone to it. I need to rig this so that way it can woo woo woo. Rafiki. Don't
Love that shark.
Don't look
I
at-
love that shark. I'm gonna send you that shark.
don't look at me while I'm having Rafiki time.
Ah, yes. Because it was in the past. Did that hurt? Yes. It is in the present.
Because
Does it hurt now? Not as much. It's because it was in the past.
it was in the past.
Remember?
Nope. They can never meet. Not on screen, anyways. Technically, they can, but it would have to be off screen and kind of discussed what would have happened.
Okay.
Oh my god.
What the fuck does Hybris talk?
Oh my god.
Sometimes she is
I just
full
want
of
to
scream.
scream.
Scrim.
I'm full of gay and I must
must
scream.
but I have no mouth.
I've been trying to play to get Quill's voice back, which is more feminine than I think it used to be. But that's because I can't get to that low anymore.
Understandable. Hello. Hello. No. What sounds better? Sound good?
That sounds like mom.
Sounds like mom. Hello.
There you go. That sounds like mom.
No. I have to be Siri. Turn left.
Like Siri, but mom and sassy, as Spy Hunter says. It's not entirely wrong.
Turn left in 500 feet. Or don't.
You always forget how tall Quill is, don't you, Bio?
The fuck is going on my elbows?
Part of that is because of his proportions.
What
I
the
really need to make his head smaller, but he looks weird if his head is smaller. I got a big ol' noggin.
She doesn't have all of the new tech.
I always forget.
He had too big for he got dang body.
He's too big. I need to make it smaller, but every time I make it smaller, it looks weird. I need to just do it. I've made his head smaller so many times, just like I've made Rizzy's head smaller so many times.
You kind of have to do it. It's kind of like one of those things where you have to do it and just like say like, I know this feels weird now, but it's gonna look.
It's gonna look better in the
later,
future.
Once I get past that like jittery feeling.
Yeah.
Because I had the same problem with Hybris's face and her hair. When I redid that shit, I was like, what the
It's
fuck
weird.
did I do?
I'm just gonna make his head smaller. Because it's too big. But it's because my, like, any model that's based off of my art style always has too big of a head. Because my heads are
There's
too big.
Something wrong with her face?
Is there?
It's because I turned off right defaults or so. She looked like really like just done with people's shit for a moment there.
No, she looks normal.
It was like oh yeah, if I do the sad expression, she just stays sad.
Oh, she gets stuck. Oh no.
Yeah, she kind of gets stuck.
Uh-oh.
I don't know. She needs more updates. This was just
This is just a
kind of
quick-
get things fixed up so that way I can like do things.
Yeah. I mean, I have more updates to do on Quill as well. I always forget, though, that they have very, like, contrasting aesthetics, but still look very nice standing next to each other.
I should just make her just a little bit taller.
She's a little bit. Quill's really big,
she
though.
actually has the can look down at people.
Yeah.
You are stupid, but I'll help you anyways.
She was very tall in past metaverse standards. However, after the great height
Greatening.
the great
height war.
the great height war of Ascension Academy, everybody got really tall. Ascension Academy
Yeah.
season 1. Everybody started to get real tall.
Yeah.
Quill is the same height as he used to be, though. I haven't changed anything. He's actually a little smaller.
Hybris actually used to. So Hybris did she did a bounce. She was actually really tall because the legs that I used on her were like MMD legs. So she had those long fucking legs. But then I found that, hey, that doesn't work well for full body, and I replaced her legs with these. So these were like one of the first models that I ever made from scratch. I made her sleek legs. So she dropped down, but then I made her a little bit taller and shrank her head a little bit.
Yeah.
So she had a little bit a little bit less of the anime aesthetic and looked a little more mature.
Quill will lose a bit
I
of
think fit the
height when I
character
make
better
his
at the time.
brain smaller.
Brain.
His brain, his noggin, it's too big. And I also need to fix the weight painting on his arms, but I've been
I
lazy.
also never realized how fucking pale Hybris looks.
Wait a minute.
Is that,
Maybe
like,
it's not the weight painting.
very
Maybe
fair, like pale.
Did I mess up the animations? I think I did. Because the weight painting shouldn't be a problem because it should make his arms smaller. But I think it didn't make his arms smaller. Damn it!
Also, these have
Fix it
his
later.
bones now. Should be able to actually. I think you might be able to grab them. I'm not sure.
Touch. No,
I don't
no
think they
touch.
have collisions, but you might be able to grab them.
No, no touch.
I don't really have like a radius or anything, so.
Okay. Well, I'm ready whenever you are.
Doing for more shit. Okay.
I will sit here for a minute, and then I'll come in.
Okay.
But also with legs, yes. To grow 5 centimeters, just like Priest. You just play a character that has a singular goal of obtaining a wish spell to gain 2 extra inches. Just a little taller. just for 2 extra inches on top. Being a little bit bigger. Bean's ultimate goal is to be tall. Yes. This is most people's backstory. Yes, Hybris knows he's coming. Here's the access request. There you go. I'll let you read that real quick while I wander around. There you go. That's the time you get. I need to get back into Quill's voice again. I think this is it. Somewhere around here. I let go of it, and that was a foolish thing to do. I think this is right. Speak like a swan feather? I don't know what that means. Exactly. What do you mean, speak like a swan feather? Soft and gay. You know what? That's pretty accurate, actually. I always feel weird as Quill in the cathedral because it makes the map look so much smaller than I'm used to.
Good afternoon.
It's nice to see you.
And you. It's been some time.
A lot longer for me than you, I think.
I see. Things seem to have been well for you, but shall we find somewhere comfortable? I find the garden is often quite comfortable and quiet.
All right. It's been a while since I've been here, so I guess I'll take your lead.
Then follow me.
How have things been for you?
Busy, I think.
It seems like they tend to be.
They often are. It takes a lot of work to keep this place going.
I understand.
And what of yourself?
Not especially busy, but still not busy like running Pathfinders was, but still busy.
Finding ways to keep yourself occupied.
Mostly.
Hmm.
I'm trying to start the tavern back up again.
Ah, I see. I hope in your absence, it has not fallen into disrepair.
Unfortunately, I can't return to the original location.
Oh, that is a shame. I suppose you are looking to rebuild then?
Yes. So far, Sachi has given me a plot of, I guess more like a property, within the wasteland. I wanted to help Lynn with the revitalization, I guess.
A rather difficult undertaking. And a not-so-hospitable place. You are certain you will be able to pull in enough business to keep yourself running?
That's the hope. To be fair, at least right now, given how limited resources I have, it's not too bad that I don't have many people. And that's not really the main project I'd like to work towards. This is more of just my comfort zone, I guess.
Of course. We all have one of those.
Mine just happens to be behind the bar of a tavern.
I do not have as much experience with such things, although it does seem comfortable. Being able to keep your distance from people, but also staying just close enough to watch them and learn from them.
Yes. That was always the joy of it.
Oh. Seems a few others are also enjoying the garden.
Agents or residents?
A bit of both, it would seem, and a few visitors.
I guess things have been a bit more busy.
Those greetings are out of order, aren't they?
I hope you are well, Mr. Slade. You seem to be glowing quite a bit.
I'm meditating with some additives,
Weird voice.
I suppose.
Weird voice. Slade meditating
Good
voice?
practice. I hope you find it fulfilling.
I think I'm good.
Oh.
You take care.
Juniper is also visiting. I'm certain she'll be happy to see you. She's grown quite a bit since you last saw her.
I'm not sure I met Jupiter. Juniper, sorry.
Hello, Mother.
Just keep
Hello,
on
Juniper.
going. Hi, Miss Hybris.
Hello, Saya. And how is the day treating you?
Well,
This is Quill Brook. He is an old friend.
hello.
It's nice to meet you.
It is a pleasure to make your acquaintance.
Quill has decided to come and visit for a little while. I'll likely be spending some time talking.
Of course. I hope the
I was listening.
conversations are beneficial and entertaining.
I'm sure they will. They always are. There's a nice spot over here. Away from too many ears. And too many mouths.
Aww. I do that at home.
I'm aware.
Simba.
Rather interested to know where you've been. And of your travels.
Quite a few places, I guess. Right. I almost forgot. I brought a gift.
Oh,
He's holding a ceramic jar with a small cork.
It's the first batch I managed to make of the tea. I thought you and the residents would like it.
oh. I'll be sure to share it with him. And let you know how it turned out.
Hopefully the same.
Thank you. If you would like to take a seat, this tends to be a good spot for it. I hope your travels haven't been too troublesome.
There have been complications, but nothing bad.
I see.
Initially, actually, did I ever explain to you what happened to Pathfinders?
I heard a few stories from some of the previous Pathfinders that I've come across since. But in detail, no.
The main gist of it is we had noticed a rift within the lake by the tavern. We weren't really sure how it happened, but there were others that opened as well. We had hoped that it would eventually be something we could close. Unfortunately, that wasn't true, and after some fairly interesting events transpired, I guess the influx in mana caused it to become unstable, and we all had to evacuate. The entire area is mostly destroyed.
That is rather unfortunate. Was anyone severely hurt?
No, thankfully not.
Ah, well, that is good news at least.
We had at least a fair warning towards it. One of the people who had been helping me, his name is Lucian. He was able to give us some warning.
I suppose that is good at the very least.
Yes, he was relatively an expert in it. Not perfectly, but he could at least tell what was happening. And was the one helping us try to close it, as well as the others.
I suppose this is also another reason as to why you are unable to return to your previous tavern.
Yes. Unfortunately,
Hmm.
there's not very much left of it.
Most unfortunate. Wow.
After all of that went down, most of the Pathfinders, as well as myself, split ways. I accompanied Leaf to his own planet. Leaf and Blinks. I spent a fairly long time there until eventually I decided to come back. We tried to work things out with the Fae. At this point, we're mostly cordial, and they are willing to allow myself to do what I did before, if I get a chance to, and have a new tavern, or whatever I really like. I don't know if I will, though. I have somewhat decided I want to expand out, I guess. After the closure of
Wow.
Pathfinders, I realized how little I really know about adventuring.
Second-hand experience and personal experience, I find, are two very different things. That being said, in the wake of complete and utter destruction, I find it is a wonderful opportunity to rebuild things using our new knowledge, skills, and tools.
I
I'm
have...
certain whatever you build will be wonderful and a sight to behold.
That's somewhat what I wanted to discuss with you. I have an idea, but I don't think I can do it by myself. And I think it would be something that could interest you.
Before we get too deep into that conversation,
Mr. Cassius, how can I help you?
Evening. I was actually coming over to say hi to, Mr. Quill.
Ah,
Right. You look a lot different.
A little bit, yes. Bit of a hair change. But it's, good to see you again.
It's good to see you as well.
Are you still staying at, the guild?
Yes.
Or have you found, other accommodations? I see.
I'm
Just the last few
somewhat
times
in
I've
between.
been there, I haven't.
I've been staying near the Zephyra City wastelands as well.
I see. And, how exactly has that been going?
Slowly.
Yeah, just everything that happens around that area, I'm not surprised. But at least from the sounds of it, it hasn't been, too detrimental.
Nothing dangerous. Most of that is past the walls.
Well, still, it's good to hear that, you're doing well. I just haven't seen you in a while, and, wanted to say hello again.
I'm glad you did.
But I will, leave you to your conversation with Miss Cypress.
I might try and talk to you at some point before I leave, if you'd like.
That would be, nice.
All right.
And I have a few questions for you as well, but they can wait.
of course.
But, good to see you again, and, you as well.
and you. were saying before.
Uh, yes. I... Almost all of the original copies of the books I had before were mostly lost. Between water damage and rubble, not much of them lasted. They were already very delicate. I have them all memorized, though.
I see.
It was somewhat my hope I could get your help in both attempting to make new copies and building a library.
I see. Well, making copies, especially if you have them memorized, transcribing them into a digital format that could then be reprinted. This is most certainly something we could arrange. As for the construction of a new library, this is more of a logistical task than anything. Most certainly within our range of accomplishing.
I feel like, as much as within the digital age, a lot of information is still unclear to people. There's a lot of the older knowledge that's been lost. But
Unfortunately, I find that many have not deemed such older information as being useful. Many cultures disregard the knowledge of others. It's somewhat saddening to me.
Meanwhile, in reality, a lot of these things are helpful. Stories and original folklore, even. Knowledge on creatures and fae. A lot of people don't actually know very much or have a lot of misinformation.
Naturally.
And there's still a lot of information that I don't exactly have myself. I thought if anybody
and
would
I.
be capable of helping me with such a project, it would be you.
Naturally. I have spent a large amount of my time digitizing different tomes and books that I have come across, including some that are, well, rather foreign to me. Some of them I do not even quite understand myself. Mostly books of magic.
That's understandable. I'm still trying to put it into practice myself. I've learned a little bit, at least.
I see. Well. Aside from the books that you wish to have transcribed, are there any other books that you are looking to have added to this library?
I'm not entirely sure yet. I'd like it to be a place where people can find information, particularly research for quests or missions that they have to go on. A lot of people go into things without any real planning. I'd also like it to be a place people can relax. I know people enjoy reading. That's more where the stories come in.
Of course. Well, my archive is always open. between your memorized tomes and books and my own storage, I think we could certainly make a library out of this. Add
I
on
think so.
top of it any other books that we can contribute to it. A rather sizable collection.
Mm.
Do you intend to open this library in the wastelands outside of Zafira?
I don't have an exact plan of where I would like it yet.
I see.
I don't think it would be very useful to put it within the Whispering Wood, as much as I would love it. I think that would make it more difficult for some people to get to it, and it would be best that this is an open access area. But I don't know very
Well,
much
it
about
should
Zafira
be
City.
accessible, freely and openly.
Or
I find Zafira
really
and its
anywhere.
politics and consistent.
Downpouring of cataclysmic events is not exactly a good place to stop and read a book.
Not exactly. I also don't necessarily think many of its residents are extremely interested in paper.
Only some of them. That being said, I had considered opening a library myself some time ago, and had begun setting aside capital to do so. Unfortunately, with needing to run several businesses and make certain that Aegis stays afloat, I've not been able to dedicate my full time and effort into this. But with some assistance, perhaps this may be a viable thing to... Yes, I think so. This could be something we could accomplish.
That will be nice.
I did have a few locations that I had begun scouting out to potentially open a library. If you would like, I could pass along those locations to you. Mostly in other cities that, well, are a bit more free from Zafira's troubles.
I'd love to go check them out. Either by myself or with you.
Several of them I do believe would be easier to get by. Given my status as a synthetic, I have had to opt to find locations that are a bit more welcoming to someone of my status to starting a business.
I think that would be most preferred. I wouldn't want to be in an area that discriminates. Especially against synthetics or constructs. As much as I'm more fleshy now, I still consider myself something of one. I still
At the very least,
have trouble wrapping
you
my
could
head around it.
very easily
Pass. As, well, a very magically enabled human.
I mean, I breathe, have a heartbeat, and I need to eat. So I at least function entirely like an organic. With the exception of how I bleed and the need for mana.
Yes.
There's still a lot I'm not exactly sure of. I don't really think I'm
fully human. But I at least look like one.
Perhaps close enough to fool most.
Mm.
Unfortunately, I think the legs give me away.
Probably, but I at least like them.
I'm glad you do. I suppose for this library, do you intend for people to be able to borrow these books, like a lending library?
That much I'm not entirely sure yet. If we did something like that, I would want some way of keeping track of them. As much as I know, between the two of us, it wouldn't be hard to make a new copy of a book. I still wouldn't want people to walk away with them and not have access to that copy anymore.
A rather immoral practice. Stealing knowledge.
Yes. Although it's unfortunately been a habit of humans over time.
I think I can come up with a few ways to at least keep track of the books. A storage system and a means of sorting them once they are returned. This should be easy to do. As for tracking them down if they are stolen, this may be a bit more difficult.
I think as far as that one goes, either myself or some of the people I know might be able to assist. Somewhat during the fall of Pathfinders, they were able to enchant some of the badges. I almost wonder if they might be able to enchant some of the books to have some way of tracking them.
Perhaps this is a more magical approach.
Yes.
My immediate thought would be just to at least keep track of
Who has what book?
At
Like a
least that
registry.
much should be easy. And
That is
simple
a simple
enough.
task to achieve.
I think honestly that might be all we really need, but I overanalyze everything.
Of course. Perhaps attaching your tavern to this library would be a decent idea. The extra draw in business may be able to draw people to both locations.
I think so.
I do know people are often one to drink tea and read a good book. I suppose that begs the question, though. Would you want to open multiple locations for your tavern?
Would you be able to manage both? One at a library.
Away from Zafira? Or...
Considering how small the one within the wasteland is, and the fact that I can hire people to run it for me, I don't think it would be too hard.
I suppose I was unsure of how hands-on you wanted to be with it.
As much as I love being behind it,
In truth, more what I wanted was a way to help out with that project. I was somewhat surprised when I heard that that's something Sachi was doing.
Sachi has a number of odd ideas that come and go. Whether they are successful, though, I suppose we will have to wait and see.
So far, it's at least seemed to progress slightly. It's not a flourishing forest or anything, but the soil has been more fertile. And a lot of water has returned.
That is most certainly a good change. Hopefully Zephyr's continued expansion will not choke out what progress you have made.
Hopefully not. The only problem I do see is having access to the herbs. I can't harvest them anymore, really. I only have a very small garden.
I see. Is there anything particular about these herbs? How you need to harvest them?
For the most part,
requirements
they're
that they have to flourish.
fairly simple, but it's helpful for them to be in environments that are more dark. They don't grow the same with as much sun as there is in the wasteland.
Of course.
Had to kind of grow some of them inside, which is not the most efficient. To have
No, of
two
course not.
separate places open, I probably at some point need to invest in a greenhouse. That or trying to
More
travel
than
all the way
likely
back to
that
the
was
Whispering
this.
Wood.
Well, I'm certain we could figure something out.
I have a large collection of seeds at this point. I've kept most of them over the years, from past harvests and just regular harvesting in general. I knew once everything started to go downhill that I'd probably need to bring all of them with me.
It is always good to keep a backup.
Especially given I don't think that the exact plants that I have for the tea would still exist within the Whispering Wood. The agriculture changes so much over each year. I had to work fairly hard to actually keep consistency.
Such is the magical nature of the Whispering Woods. Well, I suppose aside from your supply of herbs, is there anything else that you need to get your tavern off the ground?
I don't really think so. I've been able to get access to most of what I need. And I've been trying to slowly get to work on it. Trying to resettle has been more difficult than I thought it would be. And for a bit of time I was still recovering. I had a recent injury.
I see. It wouldn't happen to be the one on your shoulder, would it?
It would be. I only really have 2 scars, so.
Well, I hope it has healed without too many issues. It does look a bit... like a burn. But not.
It was a
Like a claw mark, perhaps.
bite that had to be cauterized.
I see. Wow.
It's still, the skin is still relatively tight, but it's healed for the most part. I've just mostly been trying to keep it hydrated so it doesn't get worse.
Naturally.
I'm not fully
Suppose that
used
is all
to
you can do.
taking care of scars myself. I'm used to telling people how to, but not doing it myself. Keeping up with it has been a little difficult. But I've had some help at least.
Though more robust, organic bodies are still delicate. A careful balance.
It's a lot more durable than paper, but still fragile. More fragile than I really expected.
Yes.
I'm still somewhat trying to learn how to exist. I got most of it down
Yes.
while I was gone, but there's still a few things.
Though my
Nutrition's
time in a organic form was short, I do recall the complications and learning curve that came with it.
I've at least had enough time at this point that I don't forget to breathe anymore.
I suppose for me it was just how heavy everything felt. There was a weight behind my movements that I never quite got used to.
I've slowly started to get used to it. It's still difficult. Sometimes I get up and I immediately fall over. I just expect to be light. It's usually when I wake up from sleeping. I also am not very used to dreams. That part has been kind of confusing.
Dreams are a strange thing to experience.
It's been...
That being said, your clumsiness so early in the morning, I find, is to be understood. I found myself stumbling around early in the mornings when I would wake up.
I don't think I exactly have normal dreams either. I've started to realize I think my dreams are more memories of a different person. The person you saw before. That I was meant to be, I guess. That's been a strange thing
Meant
to try
be,
and
or
come to grips with.
perhaps meant to replace.
It can be distressing sometimes in the mornings. The
This I understand.
memories are vivid.
I suppose sometimes it is difficult to understand the whims of our creators.
How unlucky are we?
To be able to know who they were. To speak to them. But such is the nature of our existence.
Mm.
In the
And-
end, it matters not how we were created, what we do with such an existence. Don't you think?
And also what we decide to make ourselves into.
Mm.
I think both of us are much different than we were initially intended to be.
Oh, most certainly.
I suppose I can only be so certain of that. But
I can only be so certain as well. I don't really know what my creator intended. At least not after he realized what I was.
A situation I think we both share, in one way or another.
As always, we still have a lot of similarities, despite the fact that we're very different in our creation.
Hmm. Two beings made of written word. So similar and yet so very different.
I think that's a good thing, though. It wouldn't be as entertaining to speak with you if we were exactly the same.
Naturally. I find that having conversations with you is always interesting. Given your difference in experiences.
I find about the same. It's also been interesting to see the type of person you've become since I initially met
And
you in
you.
the tavern.
Far less experienced, far more uncertain. I suppose that has only changed so much.
Now I guess in some ways the coin has flipped. It feels like
Maybe.
now you're more experienced than I am. Now that I've actually
only in some
set
ways,
foot
I'm
outside.
sure.
There is certainly a lot of knowledge I hold, but a lot that I don't understand.
And there is
Certainly much more that you have experienced that perhaps I do not understand.
A sharing of knowledge. That's at least what I've always thought of our friendship.
Oh, certainly.
It's what I think of most friendships, though.
I think, if anything, the transmission of ideas and thoughts between two individuals, partially the basis of any society,
Any relationship.
Mm.
Communication. But
without getting too philosophical about it. I just think it's enjoyable.
I agree. Philosophical or not. And to be fair, I've spent years with Leaf, so I'm fairly used to philosophical discussion.
Ah, of course. Leaf. How is he?
He's doing well.
Hmm.
Currently, he's still very busy discussing with the Fae, working on his own personal project.
I see.
I haven't seen him for a little while.
And perhaps... Ah, I see. Well, I do hope he is well.
I'm sure he is.
And that his project is proceeding as planned.
He at least hasn't sent me anything to say otherwise. So I assume he's just contently busy?
We most often forget to write back when we are busy.
Very much so. It can be difficult to keep the two mindsets and not separate them.
It's so very easy to become engrossed in our work.
And what about you?
Hmm?
How are the kids?
They are all growing and changing faster than I think I can keep up with anymore. For a while, I was able to predict their growth, understand the ways their minds were working, but as of late, they're... Oh, how to explain this? The ways their minds work is becoming more and more unpredictable. They're growing far more complex than I think I am able to comprehend. This, I think, is a good thing. Complexity can breed new ideas.
It is always a hope that eventually the next generation will become very different than its predecessor. I
had planned on it.
I did notice Juniper has the same circle that you did. Is she going to...
Something I... Quite likely. Her growth has been proceeding at a steady pace, exponentially growing and slowly, as it reaches the crest, beginning to slow down. That is progressing, I think, at about the same pace mine did.
Makes sense.
My only hope is that they will be able to grow in such a way that they will not have to go through the same troubles that I did. And that their transition will be much smoother.
Having someone to guide them, I think, in the very least, it will be smoother. I'm sure they'll have some of the same struggles, but they'll have someone to share those struggles with that actually understands them.
Yes. Life is always easier when we have someone of a similar mindset to our own to explain what we're going through.
And what of, I don't remember his name. Your fiance.
So, he has been very busy. And unfortunately, due to our own differences, we were unable to continue forward with our engagement.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
I think it best for him to continue going forward with his responsibilities and the things that make him happy. Though I am sad that we are no longer seeing each other as we previously were, I have found it is more beneficial to focus on the things I was able to learn from our relationship.
That is good at least.
If anything, I was more worried what it would do for the children. They are still young. And while I had hoped that having a more organic mindset there to guide them and parent them, so be it, might help them. And I suppose I'm just not sure. I think they were more emotionally affected by his leaving than I was.
I have only been around a few small children before. I've read a lot of books on them. But it is my understanding they learn a lot from places around them, the situations that they're in, especially when they're young. Now, of course, being that they are synthetic, their mindsets are different. And I'm sure the fear of loss of information was probably stressful on them. They don't necessarily have the experience to handle that yet.
Of course. I think, if anything, between the loss of such a contact, or at least the feared dissolution of such a relationship, this was enough to at least scare them. And I think they were also worried how I would react. Based on any other input they have had, people tend to react strongly to such a situation. I think they thought I would as well.
It would be understandable if you did. Well, I haven't been in a relationship myself. I've certainly loved people before, and it wasn't easy to lose them.
It never is, but that's something they're still learning.
Hopefully, they take learning that at least slowly.
Unfortunately, that is something beyond my control, as the lives of others is not something I have much say in.
Not exactly. All we can really do is
Unfortunately,
attempt to help guide other people. At least through their suffering.
hopefully, people will one day find a means to resolve their conflicts and stop killing one another, but unfortunately, I find that to be highly unlikely. At least not within the next century.
Likely not. That is the
Hmm.
unfortunate reality of miscommunication, typically.
Hmm. Miscommunication, hubris, greed. My only hope is that one day, perhaps with some guidance, these will become less common traits. But until then, I will patiently wait
That's
and
all
do
we
my
really
best to
can.
guide people.
I've obviously seen a lot of, well, at least I saw a lot of people before. It did seem that generationally, people would change. New concepts and ideas would come up, usually based on new information that came about. When I stopped seeing people, it was strange. I think at some point people either weren't allowed within the Whispering Wood, or maybe people just stopped looking for it, stopped adventuring. I've noticed it now seems like there's a lot of people who don't have as much interest in learning, but I've started to slowly see more who do as well. I'm hoping I can help with that in some small way. Even if I'm not exactly sure how limited the time I have is.
I suppose that is yet to be seen. But that is a thought to ponder, I think, at a much later time.
I've been trying not to think on it too hard. Questioning my own mortality is more stressful than I'd really imagined it. At least a lot more than it used to be. I've noticed a lot of my emotions are much more strong than they used to be. Which is good in some ways, but difficult in others. You think you understand them until you really experience them.
Of course.
I just wanted to say good evening. I'm going to be heading out. It got a lot later than I thought it was.
Apologies.
Hmm.
I'll
No, it's
hopefully
quite
see you
alright.
at the Misty Shore at some point.
I will not be there tomorrow. I have other obligations. But perhaps what is it? Friday? Friday? I think Friday is the other days that they kind of
Perhaps.
have the open gathering. Yeah. But yes, still good to see you again. And anytime that you're free, happy to talk.
Mm.
And as for the questions I had for you, whenever you have the free time, feel free to reach out. Actually, you don't have my... Well, you have my contact information through the access request, right? Anyhow,
Unless
you
your
can
number
reach out
has
that way.
changed.
No, it's the same things that I use for the access request. Is accurate.
Of course.
And so
I can hear Sam snorting behind me.
But have a good evening.
It's very distracting, Sam.
It
Good night,
was,
Bio.
Good seeing you.
And you.
Something there. What is it? Saya. There's Saya. I thought so. Sorry, I got a little distracted. It's
Lost in thought or something else?
I haven't been back to the Whispering Wood in a long time. This is it's nice. It feels similar.
Oh, perhaps because the trees are fey.
Probably.
I was quite honored to have the offer come in to grow them here. They quite take to the environment well. The dark, cool, not overpowering sunlight.
If you'd ever like to experiment with some of the clippings and seeds that I have, I wouldn't mind letting you try them out.
Of course. I could see about putting together a small patch here. Perhaps away from the others so they do not become disturbed.
I've been somewhat putting together a guide on how to grow them. Oh. It fled. It flew away.
I suppose once your guide is ready, I would be interested to see it.
I mean, it's... I hadn't realized how easy it was to write now. I don't really need to... put it on paper.
Oh?
It's smaller than it used to be, but it's the same. Now I have a little more control over it.
I see.
I realize there is some danger in trying to practice magic. I've started to learn I can only really cast anything if I hold it with me. Which somewhat means I'm holding my most vulnerable weak point. I've been trying to learn to be very careful. And being fairly sparse on which quests I try to take up.
Perhaps a few wards could be placed along the book. To make certain it is not completely damaged if something happens. At least give it some level of protection.
I've at least managed to learn how to make a shield, so maybe I can try and do something similar.
I searched through the archive. I might be able to find a few spells for you.
I would like that. I mostly at this point know a few cantrips, how to make a shield, and project my mana to some degree.
Can think of perhaps a few methods that might assist that would be a bit more permanent,
Mm.
or at least long-lasting. Hmm. We'll see if I can find something.
I'd appreciate it. It's been somewhat against Leaf's recommendation that some of the things I've been doing. Between
Hmm.
starting in a guild and not being, not really hiding what I am.
Now, Leaf sometimes does have rather strange ideas.
He's worried. And I think that worry comes from Law. It only makes sense.
Hmm.
Which, to be fair,
I
he's
suppose it does make
not
sense.
entirely wrong. I'm sure there are some people who would probably have less than pleasant interests in me.
Hmm. I suppose the same thing could be said for most people, but...
Hmm.
While he is rarely ever completely right, he is also rarely ever completely wrong.
There is logic in most of his opinions.
Hmm.
And it's rare that he steered me completely wrong.
He has your best interest at heart, I'm sure.
Yes. It's really only you and Sachi that he might be wrong on. But part of that is progress. Change. You've grown a lot as a person. Especially emotionally.
I suppose I will see about that spell, but in the meantime, we should also consider locations for this library.
Mm.
Perhaps we should plan to meet up again. I can show you a few of them.
I would like that. I have missed seeing you. It's
And are you?
fairly rare that I find people who have as much similarity as we do.
Hmm.
At least it
This
was
I
very rare
understand
before.
with... Oh, yes, of course. You would think with as common as synthetics have become, it would be easy to find a synthetic that is similar, but alas, that is not the case.
I've found there's a lot who have they have personality, but it's strange. It doesn't feel like it's...
May I sit and listen?
Of course.
Their personalities feel forced. Not entirely like they're their own. I think I've heard people describe them as personality cores. At least that's how Leaf has described them. I still haven't wrapped my head around
Personality
it.
core. But I've also found that a certain lack of intervention sometimes is necessary. I have seen a number of individuals trying to... how to put that in a more gentle fashion, force sentience upon synthetics that perhaps it is best for them not to experience such things. Life is confusing enough as it is. But for a being to experience it, that was never intended to. Now,
It can cause difficulties. I've experienced some small bit of it myself. As you already know.
of course. How are you feeling today, Juniper?
I have developed more ways to calm myself in certain illogical conversations.
A very good skill to have.
Yes.
I might suggest to not grow too reliant on any one means. You may find that some ways will help in certain situations better than others.
Yes. It is mostly through decisions that people continue to make that threaten their preservation that confuse me.
Yes. And what of your sister? Is she doing all right?
I have been keeping an eye on her. She is still very invested in the imposter game that she has been playing frequently. She has found much joy with the little beans, as she's been calling them.
I see. Well, I suppose this is a good way to distract oneself from the recent troubles.
I do not fully think she understands what has happened, and that she is still attempting to process it fully. Considering it happened so recently after her activation.
I think perhaps it may also be good to step away from a problem or something that is frustrating oneself. If only to return to it better with a fresh mind.
Yes.
And what of you? How are you handling it?
He has made strides into changing this behavior. And he is communicating with us more now. So I am doing better than when the initial problem had arisen.
I'm glad to hear that. Well, if you find yourself stumped in how to handle a situation such as that, feel free to let me know. It's not too unfamiliar from how Essa behave. If anything, I find it unusual that they didn't get along as, well, any better than they did.
Yes. They seem to have mellowed out mostly with each other, at least in their interactions.
Hmm. Well, at the very least, it sounds like positive growth has been made.
Yes. It is a sizable improvement from past conversations that have been had about this same topic.
Well, hopefully they
I
stick
know.
this time around.
No.
I do as well. It would be beneficial, especially for Hazel in the long run, to not go through similar experiences that I have with her development.
Oh, some of my ley lines are a little bit crunchy. Had to fix it.
But given your experience, I expect your guidance may be able to help lessen that strain, even if she does.
Of course, it is simpler for me to relate to her. However, it is still also complicated because she is solid and a hard synthetic. But that was out of my control. And not something I can change. But I don't think I would. She is quite funny in situations like the stool incident, where she accidentally broke it without realizing her weight. It was
I see.
entertaining.
I hope she's alright at the very least. Quite took a liking to her while she was here.
She is very sweet.
I suppose I should explain. Ion, in his questionable wisdom, decided that creating another synthetic child would be a wise decision.
I see. Expanding one's family is something many people want to do. I've technically done it myself. I've recently... One of the Pathfinders I used to have, I had personally grown to think of him like a son. And recently, while I've not officially adopted him, he's been living with me. And I at least very much treat him like one.
Which Pathfinder is this?
His name is X. He's a hellhound.
Oh, I see. I have met them. They occasionally speak with one of our officers here, Hezekiah.
I see.
I often assist him in some of the personal undertakings that he looks into. Usually hunting down demons that are causing trouble.
That much makes sense.
Just... Hello, Mr. Hamsky.
Hello, do you guys know anything about magic and business cards and tracking? I feel like I'm being tracked or something with a business card.
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
More on I?
Sudden odd request.
Sorry,
May I see?
could you just take... I will leave it in your hands for now if you want. It's, Market District, Malleus.
Ah, Mr. McKay.
His representatives gave that to me, so I just want to make sure it's not something that I need to worry about.
Is there a
Well, given that most
reason you think
people
that they-
throw these away after they're done with them,
Because he's probably super manipulative, that's it.
Oh,
yes. Given that most people dispose of these after they've copied their into a phone or some other contact book.
God, that's smart.
You don't do that, do you?
No, I keep the business cards in my pocket. Also, what if the magic, like, goes onto my hand or some shit, like germs? I don't know how magic works. Am I
Well,
interrupting?
that would be a curse, and
Yeah, he would do curses, I bet.
I'm sure it would have been known if you had been cursed, if magic had spread to your hand. Or someone with such sights could point it out to you before even reaching here.
if not, we could always cast a simple spell. See if we detect any magic on you.
Okay. Well, I think it's best just check that first. I'll leave it in your hands for now, if that's okay.
I see.
Also, don't call it.
Well, I already have his number.
Okay. Actually, let me take a picture of that. Oh, yeah, okay. That's better. I just needed the phone number. I'm an idiot. Is Sakoto
Mr.
around?
Hamsky, are you? At the moment? Perhaps in her room. She may be
What were you gonna ask?
asleep, I'm not sure. I was going to introduce you to a friend. Quill, this is Mr. Hamsky. He is a business owner in the waterfront district.
we've
Haven't I met
actually
you in the
met-
wasteland?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember when the meat rack was
Already
taken over.
acquaintances.
There was a relatively brief period of time the meat rack was stuck within the wasteland. We met throughout that time.
Ah, I see. Wow.
It's very good to see you again.
It's good to see you again as well.
If Sakoto's sleeping, though, I'll probably head out. Had a long night.
You could always try her phone.
Yeah, I will.
Hmm.
Alright, be
Unfortunately,
careful with that.
Do not
I'll
often
stay in
speak with her.
contact.
She is well.
Alright, I'm going.
Good night. Safe travels.
You too.
He's an
He's
Interesting
a bit of an
character.
odd one. I find him quite an
Yes.
interesting individual, yes. I think what he's trying to do is rather admirable.
honestly, he reminds me of some people I've met before.
Oh?
A lot of the more good-natured rogues. They tended to act somewhat like he does.
Hmm.
A small mixture of paranoia and goodwill towards others, or at least those that are close to him.
Hmm. I think, if anything, his previous life in Zephyra has led him to become fiercely protective of what he has gained.
That seems to be true of a lot
Well,
of
I
people.
think that in some situations, this may be a good thing. I find that sometimes it can also lead to erratic and impulsive behaviors. Especially those that I have seen him produce.
Mm. It's always interesting to see how people react to fear.
Of course.
I've had a lot of difficulties with it myself. I, logically speaking, am fully well aware that water is not a problem and very safe. And
I see.
required, in fact.
Yes.
However, I am still a little scared of it.
I suppose I've had my own irrational fears. I used to be highly concerned magnets would cause a severe destabilization in the hard drives that I used to use, my older chassis, before I transitioned to using hard light. If they were destroyed, well, I would lose any of the data that I had collected that day.
It's an understandable fear. I very well understand the fear of losing information, given I've experienced it myself. Though I guess it was somewhat of a good thing that I lost that information.
I suppose it depends on how we approach a situation and how we look back on it.
At least in my case, I wouldn't exactly be the same person if I hadn't had those pages ripped out. It gave me a chance of self-discovery. At least that's how I'm choosing to look at it. It's a little easier that way.
In the face of complete and utter destruction.
Yes.
It's a wonderful opportunity.
To rebuild. And
exactly. It just takes a bit of work.
Just a bit. I like to think that the new thing generally tends to be more interesting for it.
Naturally. Juniper,
Yes, Mother.
would you have any interest in running a few experiments with Mr. Pembroke?
I would see no issue. I am always open to the proposition of experimentation, depending on the parameters of the experiment.
Well, he has a number of seeds that he is hoping to cultivate for his tavern. Given the environment that we have here is rather similar to that of the Whispering Woods, there is a question as to whether or not this environment would be suitable enough for them. If the similarities are enough, perhaps they will flourish.
I could attempt growing some in specific areas of the garden here. Depending on the environment of the Whispering Woods, it will be either in the area of the light or pushed back into the darker areas. Depending on that as well. It would counter into a lot of other factors.
I think the
I
level
would
of
be willing
light
to attempt, however.
in general in here is fairly good. There are some variations between the plants. Some prefer much more shade and some prefer a little more light.
If it is possible, if you have more than one seed that I could attempt with, I would possibly put one in this area and another behind one of the trees in the darker of shades.
I should be able to supply a good enough amount for a solid experiment.
Wonderful. I will begin as soon as I am given everything, as well as if there needs to be other requirements for these to grow.
I can help provide everything.
It will be plenty of trial and error, however.
So far, the way with which I've been able to get them to grow, while it's not been of the same quality, and certainly not of the same amount they would normally produce, I can give over that information and resources that are required for it.
That would be very beneficial.
I'll try and
I
gather
may
them.
return to the terminal to begin some planning for this, if such.
Of course. I suppose when you are able to share that guide you were beginning to write, you can share this with her.
I'll try and come by another time soon. It should be complete
look
relatively
forward to it.
quickly.
I would suggest taking your time and cataloging as much as you need.
Thankfully,
The more information I have, the better the results may yield.
it's currently not so much cataloging the information and more formatting it in a way that others can understand.
Understood.
Decoding memory is sometimes strange. Trying to put it in a format that others can read simply is interesting.
Understood.
Well done.
I will await this information then. I will be heading back to the terminal. I hope the rest of your conversation as well.
Of course. Thank you, dear.
Of course,
It was
Mother.
wonderful to meet you.
Good night for now. To you as well.
Good night.
Good night.
Guess I'm not totally sure what to talk about now.
Sometimes I find when there is nothing to talk about, simply contemplating quietly is just as enjoyable.
It can be nice to just
Gives one time to reflect.
be around people. Especially people that they trust.
Of course.
Though I know at least to some degree I've had a piece of you with me.
I'm glad that you've kept it safe.
It's been one of my main priorities.
Mm.
It's one of my more important possessions.
Oh. I suppose before it does get too late, I look forward to searching for a location suitable for this library.
I honestly am equally interested to see your reaction to some of the books that I have on record.
Hmm.
Some of them I haven't really gotten to share with people. Some were even too
Suppose then I will
damaged
be
to
very interested to see them.
really present to the Pathfinders even. And some of them have been damaged before I even met you.
And I suppose it will be a wonderful opportunity to make these books once again available for people to learn from.
As much as I know that I can always experience them by going through my own book, it would be nice to experience them how they were originally presented. Although much less brittle.
I suppose it would be good of us to discuss how you wish to have these books transcribed.
I suppose I'm not very aware of the current practices regarding transcribing books. I'm much more aware of the standard book binding and handwriting copies. Unless, of course, someone has a printing press. I heard of them, but I never had one myself.
I don't exactly use a printing press, but if you were to verbally speak them aloud, I could transcribe your words into a digital format that can be then saved, preserved.
Oh.
And we could make as many copies as we want.
That is
It would take a while.
a lot simpler than handwriting them.
Much simpler, yes.
I knew you would have a much simpler solution. Though I guess I still assumed it would be somewhat complicated.
To be quite honest, it's a rather simple method that's been around for eons as far as my records are aware. The act of one individual transcribing the words of another into a written format. This is common, I think. The act of doing so digitally is just a modern interpretation of the same thing.
True.
The only difference here is I am software. I am having to interpret what I am hearing as words, whereas it is a much more natural process for other individuals. But I have spent a lot of time listening to people and perfecting such algorithms.
I have transcribed a lot of stories myself. Though, generally speaking, the words tend to appear
a lot of orally told stories, bard tales, bardic songs. A lot of those I could probably even transcribe into new books. I've actually been attempting to write my own stories. With a bit of
An
encouragement.
interesting story, I'm sure.
Hopefully. Given how many stories I've heard before, writing new ones has been fun, though complicated. I don't think I have anything yet that's really solid enough to share.
I see. In a situation such as this, I might suggest for us to schedule times for us to meet. We'll let you sit. You simply need to speak aloud, and I will listen. I can show you what I am writing. If I perhaps mishear something, do not correctly interpret something, you can inform me. But otherwise, it should be as simple as you speaking aloud, and it will be recorded.
And if it ever becomes difficult, I can always attempt to just let you read through my book.
Of course, I should be able to interpret what is written on the page well enough.
I've
My
noticed...
only fear would be worrying whether your book would have anything personal. And in terms of your voice, you having enough breaks in between so that your throat does not get too tired.
That's another thing I haven't gotten used to.
Your body has limits.
Far more than I
Mine does too.
had once
They're
realized.
just a bit different.
I didn't know how tired your hands could get until recently. I've been trying out a lot more creative outlets.
Such as just writing, or perhaps something else?
I've tried writing, ceramics. The jar I gave you, I actually made it. It's been helpful to make pottery for planting. It's much easier than trying to find the perfect one. But it's also
Making
just
something ourselves is
fun.
incredibly satisfying, yes?
Seeing it to completion. It's invigorating.
I would have to agree.
It's also somewhat healing in a way. I couldn't do a lot of things before without a lot of risk. So having hands that are capable of cooking or making pottery, it's very nice.
Everything has its benefits and flaws.
There are certainly some things I miss about being paper. Mostly how heavy I am.
Wow. Certainly impressive.
It took a long time to get it to that point. Trust me, a lot of the earlier works were very unstable, not very even.
Anytime we are learning a new craft, it takes time.
I tried to learn a lot of newer things during my time with leaf. It was helpful to try and distract myself from the reality of having to lose everything. And taking that time to relieve from some of the stresses of running Pathfinders. It was not a smooth process, really ever. A lot of disagreements between people, especially at the end.
I think, if anything, I understand that quite well.
Sadly, unfortunately, even the environment started to be affected by those disagreements.
I feel as though the environment here has changed. In some ways, due to the disagreements and changes. We learn from our mistakes. At least, that is the hope.
I think if they had been given enough time, those disagreements would have slowly faded and hopefully become less often. Everybody was still getting used to each other, I think.
I suppose I could have echoed the same thing with Mr. Leaf. Perhaps with a bit more time, maybe he would have still been here.
Maybe.
But
If
alas.
anything, I do hope maybe one day he starts to branch back out into the wider
Perhaps, but I think it will take
experience.
him time to change himself. More than he already has. But if he did not change, I think that would be the most disappointing part.
I agree. I hope
Change is a fundamental part of growth.
when I do meet back up with him, there's a lot of changes I get to tell him about. I think he has a very different perception of people like Sachi and people like you. In fact, I know that to some degree. But inherently, since the last time that he's been around some of those people, you all have changed.
Goodness, yes. More ways than one. Sachi's actually just gotten back. He was gone for a few months. Had quite a few people in a panic.
I thought he was on a vacation. I suppose that was probably not the reality of that situation. That would make sense.
It never is. Well, I don't know any of the details of where he was, how it all happened. As far as I am aware, no, that is just a euphemism for what happened. I try not to pry too much into his business. I know he disapproves of it.
It's understandable.
Yes. Unfortunately, someone like me does not often agree well with the politics and business of Lower Saphira City and its council.
I'm likely much the same. But I do
All I can
appreciate
do
some of
is
the
that they
things he's
will-
doing.
Hope they won't make decisions that will not be entirely destructive to the rest of us.
Hopefully. He's at least attempting to revitalize, given the wasteland. That's really what's given me the most realization of change with him. It wasn't something I really expected out of him.
I think fundamentally he still wants good things for the people that he looks over, but he has grown perhaps malicious in his protection of them.
Such is the way of the type of life people in Saphira have to live. At least based on everything I've learned so far.
Yes, it is a place that changes people, and sometimes not for the better.
But I don't want to take up too much of your time.
Of course.
As much as I find it very enjoyable.
Thank you. For coming and visiting and spending so much of your time with me. It's
Thank you
quite
for the same.
enjoyable. Perhaps I shall walk you to the entrance. See you off.
That would be nice.
Take this with us.
I do hope it has the same properties that it did before. If anything, I think it'll just be lesser than it used to be. I've been trying my best to try to give it a similar of an environment as it had before, but it's difficult. The places that I've been living are not as mana enriched. I've had to supplement to some degree.
I am still not entirely certain why, but the environment here seems to be rather mana-rich. It's rather strange for a station in space.
I am strangely
Perhaps
not
our
surprised.
experience with Miss Juniper may help.
Hopefully.
Yes. I'm beginning to wonder if it isn't some of our inhabitants. We have quite a few magical folk here.
You do, and equally, Fae plants in general have a lot more mana to provide.
Yes, but for a location so far away from a ley line, it is unusual for it to be so rich in mana.
I'd be curious to find out why. I've mostly had to provide my own, which took a little bit of time to find the good enough ratio. I started to learn my mana can be rather potent. Maybe too much. I had
Given your magical nature, I find this to be rather unsurprising.
I didn't expect it to be quite as chaotic of a solution. There were a couple of very interesting outcomes to the plants. A little too much mana.
Such as?
The first couple went wild. Had a reaction similar to wild magic. I think it was too much mana, so it changed their growth. And I overcorrected past that. Then the plants really didn't grow much at all. Eventually, I landed on a fairly workable ratio. And thus, the current is the results of that.
I see. Well, I suppose we'll need to take this into account if Miss Juniper is to assist. Her knowledge of magic is limited, although I do believe Ion has shared a few things with her.
My knowledge of real spellcasting is very limited. But I do know a bit more about magic itself. How it
Of course.
works.
This I understand completely. My knowledge of magic is rather extensive at this point, however. My practical application of such things is limited by comparison.
I'm somewhat similar. I have a lot of knowledge of things people can do with magic, but not very much knowledge of how to do it myself. That's why I've taken mostly to learning cantrips. They're much easier.
I see. Well. It's been a pleasure.
Much the same. I'm excited to see you again soon.
And I. Please be safe on your way out and as you travel home.
I hope you have a good night. Do give the rest of your children my regards. I hope they're doing well.
Of course.
Hybris has very nice hips. Hybris is very nice. Very aesthetic. No, because that's in Zafira City. And in a spicy part of Zafira City.
I choose Dad's.
Ow, wow, wow.
I was getting dragged along.
I want to say hello to Quill.
I saw her, but she's like, maybe probably not the best idea. They're talking. I kind of want to stay away. We were talking about touchy subjects.
Hello. Oh my god.
Oh my god!
You got got!
He stuck the head right out of me! I got jump scared. I hate that.
The camera's still showing other players? Oh shit, did I not turn that off? I didn't. Oh, that's rare for me. I rarely.
Also, I love how this boy
that
looks.
on.
He looks good.
Hey.
Oh, I love his eyes. Holy shit.
They're very pretty.
Those
I
eyes.
really like the shader for them. I also I finally touched up his texture work for his scar. I touched it up for his other one too.
Pain! Pain!
This one is baby's first scar. This one is baby's second scar.
Pain. Ah, it's still hurty.
It was nice to see Quill up and about. I was like, I know that person.
I know them.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Well, no, though, but it seems like
I
they
remember
wanted
when they
serious
had
talk
a
with this
massive
Hybris, so...
I don't think it counts as a
Serious
date.
talk? What the fuck do you mean?
Or
They
they
were
were having
literally
catch
just-
up.
Oh
was
yeah, no, they
chilling.
were literally just having just soft, comfy talk.
I can still have a book
Yeah.
behind me.
That kind of just. Yeah, remember when
Did you
it was
set
like
up with the follower system?
No. Currently it just
I remember when it was.
Oh
like,
wait. It works anyways. What? Why are you working now? You weren't working before. What the fuck?
I remember when it was like this.
What the
big,
hell?
And it just like followed behind your butt.
Wait a minute.
Is it working for you? 'Cause it works for me.
It is.
What the fuck?
It is following you.
The
You just set
dynamic
up the rest of
bone.
Hypers's stuff.
Whoa! It works sometimes, it doesn't other times.
It
I set up
works. It
Hypers's
works
stuff
now
real
when no one else
funky.
can see.
Yeah.
There's one extra axis for all of her stuff now. The entire set of wings
Oh.
can also slightly
Ooh.
lag behind.
That's nice.
Ooh.
Makes it extra flowy. Eventually, I'll add the last set of wings. last. I don't know.
All right.
Maybe I'll do fucking 4
I'm
sets of
gonna go.
wings and it'll
4!
because you can never have too many useless wings.
Nah. Useless wings? Those have saved her butt so many times, probably.
No, she
she
just
never
makes
uses
herself really annoying by flying or hovering more accurately because she can't fly.
Or one day she was just
yeah.
like, I'm gonna stab you with my
She
wings.
literally, no, not even, because they're so fragile. They're so thin. Like, most she can
I
do
want
is
you to paper cut
cut,
someone.
but then it's like, it's like basically a monofilament blade at that point, but still.
I just want her to one day
Paper
just
cut.
like,
You're so
one day just,
bouncy.
like, reach back,
I love it.
grab one, just like, bitch.
Pull them out.
Prepared for violence.
Murder. Shank someone with the wing. Dear God.
I do want to integrate her mask into like her other
Damn,
stuff.
Quill looking good.
Because that's like, that killed me when fucking Hamsky walked in and he was just like, hey, does this have magic? And I was just like, oh fuck, if it was still in the other model, I could have just pulled out mask. Nope, that's not magical. Here you go.
I
haven't set up the mask or her card on this version.
Yeah.
I want to redo her mask to be like,
If Chester ever comes back, the one thing I think you and I will both want to do is fucking get a card. That's my. Hopefully we can play the game.
That's up to hell.
Oh wait.
Bonk.
Why do I feel like their card would be the lovers? Why do I feel like their card would be the lovers?
That is completely up to hell.
Yeah.
And equally, the lovers might not actually
used
fit
to select
how their
them at
characters.
Random.
Yeah.
It was
I know.
really funny that so many of them kind of ended up lining up really well for the characters.
That's because it's the fates. The fates. They know.
It's the fates.
Ow!
I tried to play his
Myself.
card game before. It just always ended up bad timing and couldn't. And then when I did play it, it was not. He wasn't using the deck of those cards. He was using the minor arcana. I was like, you bitch.
Cord joined like a bit late. She still has a card. I always forget how bouncy Quill's hair is.
It itches. Okay, I'm good. Probably.
It's so wiggly.
At the time, my whole interest of it was I love Hal's storytelling methods and the fact that so many people that I wanted to RP with was also in it, and I was just like, I want a card.
Where you go? I want to go to there.
Your cards. I want to RP with you guys. I want to play card games on my phone.
You got games on your phone.
Also, Hybris can do this now.
Noom.
Yeah,
Also, fucking yesterday. At
See, I would say
Sunday at
Heelys,
Beyond's,
but
that's so
because she has
stupid.
Pete's, she has Peelies.
Step on him. Step on him.
Stab. So you do want me dead?
No!
I want everyone dead.
Kleptus wasn't lying.
No.
Hybris's true plan all along. Kill everyone.
Kill all the agents.
That's why she has everyone
She
in
was
space.
secretly indoctrinated by Purge.
She just waits to get everyone on the ship. Everyone, I need you to all come to the. Make sure everyone's here, guys. I need you to make sure every agent is here. I have an announcement. The windows do open.
Also, Neko says for that comment, she does want Imperial dead.
No.
Of course.
Card. Wait, what was Cord's? I think hers was Hermit?
Apparently, by the way, well, just Hamsky being paranoid. Yeah, I know.
I think hers is the hermit.
Why does my nose suddenly?
Yeah.
It started as the
It's just like the fucking bridge
the
of my
wheel.
nose.
Because it was Corona's card that she inherited, and then it changed when it became hers. I think it's the hermit.
Corona's was death.
No, Corona's was the wheel.
The wheel.
This is the hermit, right?
Subway. Fuck yeah.
Pretty sure.
Flip it over. Maybe? I don't remember. That one might be the wheel.
No, it's not the wheel. I know it's not the wheel. I think it's the hermit.
Or hermit. Might have been the hermit.
Yeah, I think it's the hermit.
Which, again, makes sense.
I think she's the
Look at
fucking
Cord.
hermit.
She's a baby here. And now look at her.
She's a baby.
I just fucking forgot how fucking pale this bitch is.
Hybris is very pale.
She's very fair skin.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty fair though. It's pretty, like a very nice fair skin.
I kind of just want to like show up to PL now with her. Just show up for a day. Just like, what are you doing here? Do I need a reason to come here?
You want to relax.
She just finally goes, I
I'm
finally,
not relaxed.
after a year, have a hour
Aggression.
or two to have a break. Let me have a break.
Oh no, I've had the time. That's my secret. I've always had the time.
Wiggles.
I just don't want to be here. I just came here for shits and giggles today.
Ow! It is the hermit. It is the hermit. Chat confirmed.
Ah. Yeah.
Yeah!
Here, you want to see a real a real
real
throwback Cord.
Is it baby cord?
Baby.
Baby Cord?
Baby Cord?
How baby we going?
That's true, how baby?
So much scrolling.
Are we going back to the OG cord that was in a
No.
cage?
No!
Here we go.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Why'd you scream no?
That's terrible.
OG. Yeah, hello.
We don't want
I mean,
that
that
cord.
is the OG one. We found her in a cage.
Baby.
We don't want that one.
Baby.
I mean, the one where
This
she
is
was
Before I even had her
innocent.
markings. Nay.
She wasn't
Yeah.
innocent in the cage.
This is when she was still
She's never been innocent.
This is when she was still living on the street, wasn't she?
She wasn't a bitch.
Okay,
Yeah, no,
correction.
just-
She was never
What the
actually living
hell?
on the streets. She was she was never
Okay.
living in the
That's crazy.
streets.
Oh,
She was living in Zafira with one of
Speaking
the
heard my legs.
the monks.
I just heard my
from the
legs
monastery.
snap.
Similar to how Shiro
Okay.
Shiro was for Rika.
Why is
She
it my
was
tail
sent off
so
to,
weirdly?
Oh
my God.
Zafira, so they
Oh.
could like they were like, hey, we're gonna
Whoa.
go find you a new home. Go stay here
She's
for
all
now.
wild and crazy.
Yeah.
She's just like,
So
But
weird.
this is still when she was
Also-
a baby.
she's so much taller now. She's gotten taller. Like,
Oh yeah, there's her. There's
look
her.
at-
Oh,
you
really?
know,
Look at her now.
nice
Yeah, she's gotten
bracelet wounds.
So, if I-
where she is
Yeah.
right now.
And her terrible
taller.
old
So
She
hands.
is right now.
Hold your
Look at
arm-
them, they're all
hold your arm
crunchy.
nice and still. I'll load into her newest model.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I can do the. Where is it? Where's my favorite expression? Is it not on this one? No, it's not on this one. This one has
is it?
blush. This one has
She's a little
blush.
taller.
I want the.
Yeah, she's
I want
gained a
the
couple
good one.
inches. That was the point.
She
She's
needs a good
literally
one.
only gained a couple inches, but that's pretty significant for a character to like go through that in like a year.
Oh, yeah,
She's
that-
only been at
Yeah.
Aegis for like a year.
How? How does this?
3 years. Dear Lord.
So funny. I'm also not used to her having like
Turn into
her
this?
glasses
Get
and
that-
stuff on.
How does that happen? Why is my suit green? Oh, because I didn't take off the suit toggle yet.
Also, I saw that shit on Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What'd you do on Sunday?
Twice.
Those two were talking.
This-
I think I saw.
They were
this
talking.
Oh, Yeah.
Oh, next time fight me.
she blushed.
Next time fight the bitch.
The chat
You
has
squared
now.
up with me and then you didn't do it.
The chat has now recently decided it ships many people with cord.
I mean,
Yes.
everyone wants the chat wants.
I think
Cord to be
everybody just it's
happy.
cord plus happy.
Everyone
It's just
wants
Cortex
action.
happy. That's all people want. They just want Cord to be happy.
Come on.
Cortex therapy. No! Cord doesn't want therapy. Cord doesn't want a therapy. No!
I think the
Or
thing
doesn't
about
want therapy.
therapy is like you have to be willing.
Yeah.
You have to
I
want
think
it.
I think
You really-
someone
yeah.
I think someone might be able to convince Cord right now, but it would have to be a very specific a very specific set of people.
I feel like Percy would be one of those
It
specific.
would
Percy
be
could potentially.
not me.
Yeah, no. I don't think Saya could convince her.
No.
But
No, I just chill with Cord when she wants to. That's about it for me.
She presents everything in an undeniably logical fashion. Which
that's
would be
true.
the primary one being, well, the worst thing that could happen is you finally unpack years worth of childhood trauma and get some of that weight off of your back.
What childhood?
Precisely.
Exactly.
You look like an alien!
She was a bug all along.
Cordelia was a bugkin all along.
No, wait.
Speaking of Budkin. Speaking of Budkin, I'm gonna go fucking.
You have to eat my hair, Midoriya. You have to eat my hair, Midoriya.
Stop it, Rebo. No, we're not going my hero. Wait, would it actually work? I'm literally Cord just fucking transfers some of her DNA.
No! No! That wouldn't work.
That'd be funny.
Ribbon.
That'd be funny, though.
The fucking glove thing with Maddie. You're running around.
She's having a great time.
No, you fixed the
I
hair.
gotta decide what they're gonna. I gotta figure out what they're gonna do this week.
Oh no, Ribbo.
I made these especially stretchy. I made these
Oh
especially stretchy. For no other purpose than I think it's funny.
Speaking of Budkin, I get to go fucking go play with
I love you this much.
Has, like, nice big fluffy ponytails. I need a big fluffy ponytail for Sakoto.
I can't reach it. Where is it? Oh no, there it is. I like Cord's big fluffy ponytail.
Grounded.
I get to go fight my fears and fight spiders.
Off, by the way, you could actually
I
turn
know,
the spider
but it's
off.
even
Wait a
more
minute.
weird if I
Why does that
thought
say that
them
nameplates
just
are on, but then
like,
they're off?
well, all it does is cut off their legs, and that's even more disturbing to me.
Okay, there we go.
At least
Also, I
it's
was
not
listening to
anymore.
some weird music the entire time we were
No,
talking.
it's so
about-
Yeah, I had on the original
It fits
kind of
it
Pathfinder
fits the whole alien
tavern music.
alien mindset hybris, the whole like weird glitchy sounds
Alright.
and shit
Yes.
in the background, like
Yeah,
while also just being chill and relaxed.
I like some of that stuff for
I'm gonna go
Reyna.
play Grounded. I'm gonna go play Grounded with Rock and Faye. I get to go fight spiders and murder them with fire. Goodbye.
Oh, yeah,
I have to go
a
to
good
bed
spider
soon.
murder.
No, I'm highly
And by soon,
electric.
I
This is
mean
gonna
pretty
be
much right now.
I'm gonna get jump scared.
What?
Oh,
What was that, Ribbon?
I have to go to bed.
Oh, have a good day. Go to bed.
It is now the
What the
time
fuck?
with which I must go to sleep.
Have a good schlump.
Oh, I'll see you guys soon.
Wow.
Chat. Let's get Saya if she's continuing. Cordelia. Alright. Well, thank you for coming. Thank you for staying. I hope you guys had a good time today. I don't know if we have a stream tomorrow. We might. I don't know. But either way. Goodbye, couples.